Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am your very bloody host, Shae the Red. I'm gonna get this right. I just changed the name and it fucked me up. Can't even remember my own name anymore. I'm your host, Shae, and I'm here with the super awesome and amazing Adam Lawson. How are you doing, sir?
I'm awesome. I'm super excited to be on the stream, and I love what you've done with your face.
Thank
I love it.
you. Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes.
was thought I'd go out, maybe like get some groceries after, and not change. Like, what's
People
the
will
point?
respond well.
I'm sure in this COVID time, everyone's gonna be
Yeah, they're gonna love that. That's cool because I didn't know what you were gonna do from the comic. And it's such a cool thing that you always sort of dress up or do something that like winks to the comic. And I was like, I wonder where she's gonna go. And you chose, of course, the violent, scary Templar.
Yes. And I am not highlighting that comment, but that's hilarious. Unhinged. I was actually dying because I really, really wanted to do almost all of your characters because they're so cool and so interesting. And I was like, man, I want to try the main character, but as a girl, I want to be the girl character that's like his bestie or whatever because she seems really cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's got like this Viking girl, like, and she's bloody, so I can do that. Like that's a possibility.
Perfect.
But
I love that. A good choice.
I'm very excited. So normally we'd kick it straight over to you for your pitch, but you actually have a badass video that we want to play first. So that's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna go into your pitch. All right.
According to my math teacher, I'm the smartest kid she's ever met. I solved the Millennium math problem. Nothing changed. My brother still hung himself. They're still depressed. The kids at school are still horrifying to each other. But what if there was a way I could fix all that? What if I could take this broken world and assemble it? And even if the world didn't want to, I would make it change. Make it see things differently. The only problem is that sometimes the world pushes back and makes you do things. Terrible, terrible things.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So if you weren't on board before, I really don't know how to get you on board for this because that alone, that was epic. I'm gonna let you go into your pitch about it, and then we're gonna get into it because this is amazing.
Thank you. I love what we're able to do with that animated piece. It's just essentially a layered art is put together in After Effects and sort of moved around. But I think it really captures the feeling of what the story is, right? And at the core of it, it's about David, and he has this girl Emma Adachi who lives with him. She's a foster care girl that's kind of living outside of her foster home and sleep crashing on his couch. They're in high school, and then there's their friend Atticus, as you can see him here in the image on the frame. And his brother's committed suicide as a result of bullying, and his mother's having big bouts of depression, obviously, over it. And like anybody at that age who's dealing with trauma, he was trying to seek some control over this world because even though he can solve the most difficult math equations on earth, he cannot solve the problems of his own life. Right. And so he is on a scavenge with his aunt. They run a pawn shop, and he digs up something that is this, what he doesn't know is a piece of ancient Sumerian armor. and there's a math equation tied into it, and it's similar to this one that he's been working on, and he solves it, and it unlocks this piece of the armor. And it, as you can see in the animation there, it essentially goes into his mouth and his eyes, and it integrates into his cells, and it's kind of killing him while at the same time giving him capabilities. And he runs it with math equations. He runs new equations, and that changes the shape of it. And so in this moment of getting a newfound power, he decides, wait, maybe I can control the world. Maybe I can make the world safe. And as we know, you can't make the world do anything. So he, but because he has also his teenage rage and not quite understanding his power, he not only takes up a bully or a drug dealer at school, he mangles them and maims them for life. Because that's the consequence of a lot of power thrown at somebody. Unlike Spider-Man, who can lift a tank and then punches somebody, and somehow the guy just shrugs it off and goes to jail. That's not really how that works. And so I wanted to erase that lie, so there are some real consequences, so it could have real meaning. And so he and his two friends, Emma and Atticus, have different ideas. He wants to make the world safe. Emma just wants to get revenge on people who have hurt her. And Atticus wants neither one of it. He feels like there is a way for that this is a mistake. And of course, violence begets violence. Things get out of control. Terrible things happen to Emma, hence her scars on her cheeks, because she's attacked. And they end up leaving their hometown in ruins, and people with love getting killed. And they head off in pursuit of the other pieces of this armor and the other pieces of themselves. So that's the pitch of the story. That's the ride, is these three teenagers who are on the cusp of becoming adults, struggling with trauma, and then dealing with it in the most fantastical way with this piece of ancient Sumerian armor. That why it's called the Eighth is because it's the armor of the eighth sage. So ancient Sumerian myth, there's 7 sages that were kind of like angels, or if you go back, maybe they're robots, or maybe they're something else, depending on where you're standing. But they impart knowledge to humans. And in my tale, the Eighth is in a fictional one that was sent as the destroying angel. And as a result of this, there's heavy consequences that come. And along the way, their ideas of making the world safe, getting revenge, and this is the wrong thing altogether, these three friends are going to become at odds with each other.
Right.
Thank you, Unhinged Entertainment. I appreciate that. That's the amazing Joran Evers, my artist. He and I work in television together, and I've been wanting to do this comic book for a long time, and I thought, you know what? Here's my plan. Let me pay him on a TV show, real money, so that when I beg him to do this art for comic book money, he'll say yes. And so, his art has made this story real and something to look at. So that's the journey of these characters. And as you can see, this awesome character that Shae is portraying here, this is Wraith, and she is the major badass villain, or one of, because they encounter many along the way, but this one is perhaps the most deadly. And she is a Knights Templar and has been around since they have been around. And she's in pursuit of this ancient armor as well. And she has unique powers. I don't want to give anything away, but she is definitely the most exciting, antagonist in the tale. And she's super badass in this armor and in this crazy sword. And so that's like a taste of what's to come in the issues in the story of David as he's trying to assemble the Eighth. The big question at the end: will he destroy the world or will he save it?
So I really, really love this, especially because in the video there's a couple of lines and a few things that he had said, and the second I heard them, I was like, "Oh, that's dangerous. That is a dangerous thought process." And I was like, "And you're a teenager, so you, of course, don't see that yet. You're thinking, no, I can force the world to be good." And it's like, oh, child, you so can't. Don't do it. And already from the video, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Like waiting every month for the next installment of this is gonna just destroy me in the best way.
Oh, good. I mean, I think that's it, right? I think that like one of the most dangerous things is to try to make the world think like you, right, or be like you. And though it sounds at first, that's a great idea. You're a nice person. The world should think like you,
right?
You know, and then you become Mao, and you burn all the books and you kill all the people, and you say, you know, right? So there is a very dangerous thought, and he learns the hard way that's maybe that's the right choice.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's such a natural reaction because as humans, you want to make things better. And when you see something that's an atrocity, or you see something that doesn't seem like it's just, or that doesn't go down the right path, you're like, you know, if only I could force these people to understand why it's so important. Right. And the danger of that is you can, anytime you try to force your opinion on anyone, no matter how good your opinion is, the likelihood that they're ever going to hear it is so very low. And the way that they're going to hear it is probably going to be incredibly hostile, and they're not going to take what you're meaning from it. So forcing somebody, which is oddly enough kind of how CG and indie comics have gotten this big boost, is because people have been trying to force you to think like they do. And this is what's happened, a giant rebellion where everybody has said, I would rather tell the stories the way that I want to tell them. I would rather do this the way that I think it should be done, and let people choose. And people have been choosing the other side because the side trying to force it down people's throats is just so overbearing. It's something that I think that you're handling really well from what I'm seeing so far with him, is that he doesn't see it yet. And, you know, we say this a lot when you're talking about SJWs. A lot of them are still stuck in being 13.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely. There is this feeling, right? And I agree with you about what's happening. There's a reaction, right? There is a punk movement, right? A fighting of the system.
Right.
Because once the system says, if you don't think like I do, you're bad, all of a sudden you're like, I guess we're at war, right? And then it ruins, unfortunately for many of us, like, you know, a lot of these, you know, these characters and things that are now becoming more mainstream, there are things that we loved, and now they're being sort of taken out of our hands.
Yep.
And I agree. And maybe the best kind of rebellion is you make your own stuff, right? And you let people choose, because this isn't life insurance. This is art. This is something you get to pick. And so you should be able to kind of pick what you like, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and
Gelth is back.
Hi,
was with me yesterday. Yes. Okay, there he is. He's back, baby.
Well, so we've got a couple of questions already, which is great. I love that the questions are coming a lot more organically instead of me having to like fish it out of people later. So we're just going to pop into some of these. Luke Thomas wants to know, is this going to be an ongoing series, or are you going to finish the story with this book?
Yeah, so it's kind of, the answer is yes and yes. So the way this is going to work out, Luke, and I hope you'll like it, is that what happens is when the campaign closes, you know, and the 15 days after that, the digital issues are going to start coming out monthly. So every backer gets issue 1, you know, 15 days after the campaign closes, and the next month, issue 2, et cetera, just like you are collecting them at the local comic shop. So for 8 months, you're going to get a comic book emailed to you. And if you come in later in the game, you'll get the past ones delivered to you. So it's ongoing in the sense that you're going to get this ride, and it's going to deliver over that period. And then around that time, you know, all of the last 2 issues will be completed. All the print order will be in and back from China and all that stuff. And so then you'll get the hard copy. And then yes, that this sort of ongoing series, this 8 issues completes it. So and I would love to do more in the world of the 8th, but sometimes I'm afraid of making something, especially when you're crowdfunding it, that doesn't complete itself, in case you never get issue 2. So it's a yes and yes, if that makes sense for you.
Absolutely. And then we had Unhinged wanted to know, is there a reason you didn't go with the paperback tier? Merely curious.
Yeah, I initially my thought was when I was building this campaign, and I we'll probably change it for the next one. I thought, the thing I really want, and I think Gelth, we talked about this yesterday, is like you want cool art, and you also, when you're backing something, you want something that's special, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, right? What I always like is like, oh, that's the tier where I get the item I can't get at the local comic shop, or that's the item that makes it worth the 6-month wait. And so I thought, you know what? Let's just do that. Let's just do the cool hardcover, and it's got a beautiful thick hard case. It's now, because of stretch goals, it's going to be embossed with Spot UV, and it's this badass 200-page book that you're going to have on your coffee table, I hope, or you put in your collection. And so I went that direction because I thought I that's what I would want. Now I think maybe going on in the future I would offer both tiers, but that was the choice.
So, and one of my questions, because when I'm looking at your tiers, and we're going to go over them in just a second, and I told you this off air, your art for each of the digital monthly issues, I love it because I love how much it kind of hints at something going on, but how little it actually shows, where it's really kind of, it's almost like pop art, where you're like, I'm just showing their right hands.
Right.
Yeah. For the most part, right or left. I'm showing their hands. Right. And all of them, you get to know who it is based on what they're wearing, what you see on their wrists, or what shirts they've got on, skin color, what they're holding. Like that's how you kind of know who they are, but that's it. And I feel like it's so unique. So my question is, when you put this into your 200-page hardcover, any thoughts about kind of setting off where each of the digital issues were, with one of these as like a full splash page within it as kind of a marker?
Yeah, so that's exactly what it will be. So these will become, because the hardcover has its own art, own special art, separate from the digital issues. So that way you feel like you get something new. And then the chapter breaks will be the covers. But what will be fun is then there'll be a new piece of art on the inside of the cover that wasn't there for the digital. The digital backers will get the compiled hardcover at the end. So like you'll get a chapter break, and the front of it would be, this flaming sword. And then as you go to the inside of that, because we don't need to keep giving you the same credits every issue, there'll be a new piece of art that will be in there that's unique to the I guess collected issues. Yes, because I agree. I like this idea of like something impressionistic that teases without just being, here's the whole
right.
Like lingerie.
And it's one of those things that kind of, so when I see some people do cover art, I see them put so much into their cover art, and there's times where it is absolutely stunning and beautiful and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got all that in there. And then there's other times where I'm like, man, there's so much, it's overwhelming. It's hard to pick out the various pieces, and there's so many things that look neat, but they don't have enough space to be as awesome as I know that they would be separately. And so the fact that you've kind of taken this, like, yes, we have a lot of badass art. There's a lot of stuff that we could do, but for our digital monthly issues, we're going super impressionistic and we're going minimalist. And it's like, oh, I love that, because then it's intriguing. And it's like, I know I'm going to open this and there's going to be really amazing art inside, but there's also really interesting art outside that I would want to frame. Like, I want to frame these up and put them up on my wall in sequential order, because it's just such a cool way to do that kind of art.
I love that thought there. And I would hope that if you do that, please send me a photo of it, and I may steal that idea and do it.
You and I are going to talk. I'll show you my wall after this, because this needs to happen.
Please do that. and Gelth, by the way, that's great news that Michael agreed to the drop bear. That was, Shae, you might have missed out on yesterday's stream.
I did.
There's a drop bear situation in Australia that, that's catastrophic, and Gelth has gotten on top of that. And so, thank you.
All
Thank you,
right.
Gal.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, the Lucent is one of my most anticipated, and I put out my list of my 5 most anticipated books, and you're making it difficult because now it has to be my 6 most anticipated books because this one's now
Wow.
on there. So damn
Thank
you,
you,
because
thank
now
you.
now
I'll
I
take
sound like
that.
a
I'll take
horrible
that.
person.
I'll take that. With Unhinged there, was inspired by Witchblade of the Darkness. Definitely there's some similarities when you see some, especially early on in the issues, when you see some of the power at work. But what it really came from, and granted, I'm familiar with those properties, but what it really came from is this. I read about this scientific process that they're working on where you can, within a small electrical charge, you can get simply arranged particles to become complexly arranged. So it would be like freezing a glass of water, and instead of it just becoming a cube, it would become an ice swan. And that's what is sort of the science behind this. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you had these particles that could reassemble? And the math equation was that charge that would reassemble them. But yes, I think that like aesthetically, there's definitely some link there, though this power has a different origin, but both great series.
Okay, and I'm being told by Gelth that I have to ask you about the fairy bread. He wants to know, did you go try fairy bread yet? And then he says, Shae, ask Adam, Michael and me made Lola freak out over wanting to try fairy bread. What the hell is fairy bread?
Yes, so I mean, this is an important thing that, you know, it's definitely going to be probably one of the issues. I think probably everybody will need fairy bread as part of their comic from now on.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like this white bread. It's like sugary white bread with sprinkles on top, and something that's popular in Australia, and and is something that kids love. And it was a new introduction to us. You know, I've been to Australia. I don't live there, such as Michael and Gelf, but it's it became a new important topic was fairy bread. So
this sounds
watch
suspiciously a lot like a. I don't know if you've seen the commercial. There's a commercial for I think it's One A Day Women's Vitamins or something like that. And this woman has her 2 kids that come running up and say, "Mommy, we made you princess toast," and it's toast with some kind of blue something and purple something on it, and it's got jelly beans and sprinkles. And they're like, "We made you princess toast," and she goes, "I have no idea what's in princess toast." Starting to sound very similar.
I would say it's very much like that. It would be on the princess toast line. So for sure.
Okay, good. Diabetes toast. Thank you.
That's
Thank
exactly
you,
what it
Past
is.
Master Dan.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, borrow ideas.
Yes.
Please.
Just about to get to that. So with the digital going out fairly soon, do you plan on keeping it in demand?
Yes is the answer. Is the answer. And so if somebody jumps on now, you get first issue at the beginning. But if in a couple months you jump on, you would get an email that would catch you up on that front. Inspired by Shae.
Hey,
Yes.
look, see, I work for you guys. You don't know it and you don't pay me, but I work for the fans.
No, she knows. She's got good ideas for sure. She does. For sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I honestly, like, I saw this. I don't even remember. I want to say it was Tompa initially that kind of got me looking at this, and I was like, "Ooh, this is really cool." And then I got really, really like sidetracked because I squirrel like no other. So I totally missed out on it. And then randomly you and I started talking again, and I was like, "How many days left do you have?" And you're giving me like, "Yeah, I'm in my last 2 weeks." I was like, "Oh shit, I'm booked for a while. Hold on. I'm gonna make this work."
Which was so cool of you.
No, this needs, so the fact that I haven't seen this around as much as I feel like I should have is just it's not okay. This is an amazing looking book. This absolutely needs to have a lot more eyes on it. And you're already doing phenomenal. I mean, you're at almost $25,000, which is amazing. But
it is humbling. I am humbled, right? Because anytime you make something creative, you're so worried, are they gonna like it? Are they gonna like me?
yeah,
And to see people like, you get messages saying, "Hey, I saw the trailer and I backed this. I'm really excited about what it can be." And it is like, you just kind of want to cry, because of how much you pour into something. And yeah.
exactly. Well, and the thing is, and I agree with Passmaster Dan here, shop Indiegogo and support your favorite creative team. There are so many amazing creative teams that are on Indiegogo, to the point that I was just having this conversation with Paul Acevedo earlier when he was asking about like what kind of books I'm most drawn to. Honestly, indie books. That's what's got me. I'm so much less interested in what DC and Marvel is putting out, especially these days, than I am with what is going on in the indie scene, because I'm seeing books like yours. I'm seeing books like Tugs that we just had Gel say, yeah, it's finishing today or tomorrow. It's at 100K. Thank goodness, because he absolutely deserves it.
Yeah, no, I backed that book. I thought it was such a, it's cool. It's like it's a fresh character, right?
It is,
and it's an all ages thing, and it was so cool of him to create something like that.
Did you read the first one?
I didn't. I came in late to the campaign, so
the first,
a month ago, I got back both of them on the current.
The campaign. First book is very well done, and granted, he's trying to move away from it being quite so kid friendly, where it's still all ages, but the first one was very adorable. And it's more so if you know kind of if you know about Lug and you've ever heard of Lug story time, and then you go and read this book, it's perfect, because it is Lug story time, like just a little bit zhuzhed up, but she's such a character and they do such good stuff. So seeing stuff like that, reading books that got me genuinely excited, reading Nora's Saga from Blake Northcott and Kelsey Shannon. Oh my gosh, I need more. It says July. It better be July. I'm gonna be pissed if it's later.
I agree. Like, I feel like for me, when I first, I grew up on the big two, and a lot of great work that has been done. But then I remember the first time I read the graphic novel 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello on Image. And that was what kind of like broke it for me, where I was like, oh, wait, this is what I want to feel when I'm reading a comic book. And that kind of had led me down the pathway of Image and other titles that were outside of that. Because when you're younger, and maybe when you're just getting into it, you don't realize how broad it is. And it's like that cracked it open for me. It's like, wow, this kind of writing and these kind of tragically complex characters, like I want to take that ride. So
right. Well, and so this is something I'm super excited about. I'm really, really happy to see that you've had 402 backers, which is amazing. You're almost at 25. You have a really cool stretch goal at 30 that I want you to be able to hit. But before we go to that, let's go ahead and go over your perks, and so people kind of know how they can back.
Right. So this is a featured perk. This is the most expensive one. And what this gets you for the $100 is you get the digital issues, which are going to start coming out right after the campaign. You'll get it every month, all the digital stretch goals. Then you also get the badass, amazing hardcover edition, which is 200 pages, or maybe 212 if we hit that stretch goal. Ooh. And it is a beautiful, collector's edition hardcover. And the slipcase is not a paper slipcase; it's a cardboard, very much like a book cover. So it's thick and rugged. And we've cracked some stretch goals, so now it's embossed. It has spot UV, so it's a beautiful collector's piece, as well as it's going to be amazing to read.
Oh, so excited for that!
Right, and so then that gets you the story, and then because it's cool to back indie stuff, you can rep your tribe, and you can get the T-shirt. And as Shae and I were talking about the T-shirt earlier, it's not made out of that stiff fabric with just a print stacked in the middle of your chest that makes you feel like a box, but it's a higher end fabric, so it's got hang and it looks cool. And then the art is impressionistic, right? Like the character, the black silhouette is David with the armor, and then inside of him is Emma with her flaming sword that she gets. And they have an unrequited love, and they are best friends, and then they become at some point maybe even best enemies. And so there's a little impressionistic there. So that's and then also of course you get any of the hard copy stretch goals that happen, and so that's an awesome tier, but I know it's a lot. So then you can get the monthly digital issues, And what's cool about that, like we've talked about, is they're going to start coming out right after the campaign ends, because I'm 5 issues ahead on it already. And quarantine hit, and I said, I'll launch this now. Which, on second thought, I won't maybe do that again next time. I'll give people a little preparation. But I just dove into it at this time, and but as a result, we're going to be able to get ahead. A 6th issue just finished coloring, and so it will be way ahead. And you can get a monthly, and it's $25, and you can take the whole ride. And then,
awesome.
And then for $55, you get this, you get the hardcover, and you get the hardcover, and it's like we talked about, it's beautiful slipcase collector's item, and if that's cool for you, I think it's awesome. And then we have this Ultimate Edition, which there was only one of, and it's because I had this original sculpt done, right here, and some amazing collector.
Oh my gosh, you have it in your hands. Hold on, bring it back up.
Yeah.
Good hell, that thing is huge.
Yeah, it's the. Let me kind of step back so you kind of see the full height of it. So it's the real deal, and this is a truly original sculpt. It's there is no mold. This is the only one on Earth. It cost me $10,000, if you can imagine, from this amazing sculptor I work with in TV. But I gave away for a 5th of that because I thought it should be on somebody else's desk now. Now the 8th is now out into the world, so.
I can't. So you're not even going to own that.
No, I'm not even going to own that. I felt like the 8th is now going out into the world, and it's like, it'd been on my desk while I've been writing it. And I thought, you know what? This now belongs to someone else, right? Who can, the 8th has left me, and it's now going to go out into the world. And so there's the story.
And it's cool. That.
Yeah, and it's a hand sculpt, hand painted. And so it's by Greg Aronowitz, who's a world-class sculptor, and there it is. So, but and I think it's just a fun way to give something for that's the perk of Indiegogo campaigns, right? You can get that one thing that you can't get anywhere else.
Absolutely, and then we've got some really cool stretch goals. So you've already blown through 2 of these, which is amazing.
We're very happy.
Okay, so you've got David Transforms embossed print.
Yes, so it'll be a beautiful A4, thick ply, glossy, embossed, beautiful print. And I think that, like you, Shae, how you kind of put them in glass framings and build cool things. There's tons of cool things to it, or it just sits on your shelf, or it becomes a bookmark or a door stopper. But it's a nice way to just take some of the art home that's not in any of the other pages, that it's its own unique piece.
That's awesome. And then at 22, you got embossed and spot UV hardcover and slipcase.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we've got.
So it just makes it sexier, right? It makes the you're getting better, which I think those are always the best perks, at least for me.
Well, and I love, like I was telling you before, when somebody tells me that they're going to do this is a slipcase that's nice, thick, sturdy, and then on top of it, we're doing spot UV and it's embossed, and it makes me go, oh, I want to hold it. I just have to. It sounds so good. And then you have a $30,000 stretch goal, which you were actually not very far from at all, which is a 12-page mini story.
Yeah. So, the 8th is something that's multiples of thousands of years old, and this story takes place in the modern day. Mm-hmm. But this 12-page mini story will be centering around this character, Yam, who is also in this tale as well, but it would deal around the origin of the 8th, and it would be in a different setting with, I don't want to give away all the secrets around it, but it expands the world. And so on writing influences there, Unhinged, I think there are sort of 3 that really stand out to me. One was Brian Azzarello on his 100 Bullets. The way he used dialogue, it really just took me away. The second would be Alan Moore, his Swamp Thing. It was like when I read those words, it was they just changed my mind on what a comic book was and the value of it, like the literary value of it. And I would say a third influence that I really love is a model writer here, Rick Remender, who he's such a flippant, crass, kind of edgy character that's, writer. And he's somebody that is able to use a lot of words and sometimes I think not many writers can pull off a lot of words, and he can. And I think I'm impressed by that because it's kind of a special ride. But
Yeah, and you got a lot of people that are seeing kind of a Witchblade-esque feel to it, which is kind of cool, but oddly not exactly your influence.
right, no, not exactly that. You know, Witchblade I know in passing. It's not a story I read it. I've not read it, so to speak. I've seen issues and yeah, and I think the sculpt ultimately, because like the little red spots on it, because this was done early on versus how it's seen in the comic is they're slightly different. That kind of I think nods to Witchblade, and Witchblade is a really, I mean, it's a long running series, obviously, from back in the early Image days, and it's thank you for the cool comparison.
Well, sorry, I was getting caught up in your dialogue for a second here.
Please.
I really love the way that you kind of have the characters interacting with one another, and it feels a lot more natural than a lot of other people. I've had a lot of people who have tried doing stuff like this, and it's kind of, you know, it's not bad. You get what they're trying to go for, but it doesn't quite going to hit that mark of what they're going for. It feels like a really good outline. This feels like this is going to be a really amazing ride that everyone's going to get to go on, for sure.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. One thing we try to do, if you can look at that page with the ninjas, so to speak, on it. I try to build panels. You know, if you can kind of see the way they arc across the page, so that I can accomplish. I can make it feel you understood the setting, you understood the flow of action, but also to the shape and design of the panels communicated the feeling, like the urgency, almost like, you know, almost like it was a camera, right, in a movie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
To help give it. And not saying I've not originated this. Obviously, many great creators have done it ahead of me, but I hoped to try and emulate it.
This is crazy, and we've got Gel saying we need to refresh the page, and I will in just 1 second. I wanted to get to this because this whole thing, seeing her with the slashes in her back and stuff, it reminds me of the self-flagellation kind of stuff, which, being a Knight Templar, that would be the first thing that comes to my mind, is that when she fails or something doesn't go right, she's whipping herself until she's bleeding. I don't know if that's what happens, but that's what happens in my mind until I read otherwise.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's very much this, is that it is almost like her penance before she begins her assault, if you will. And I love, you know, the Templar and the old Catholic, you know, elements to it, because it's, you know, it's haunting and holy at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's kind of what she is, both haunting and holy, or maybe slightly unholy, but haunting and holy.
Yeah. All right. So.
Okay. What just happened?
It just went up to $100 is what just happened.
Woo!
That is awesome.
That is amazing.
I love.
What an exciting moment. Thank you, whoever that was. You're amazing. Big high five through the Ethernet there, and thank you for believing in the story and taking the ride. Welcome to the Failed Superheroes Club.
Yeah, absolutely. This is amazing, and you're gonna go up again just after the show, because I don't feel like doxing myself, but you are gonna go up again. I wanted to hear about how amazing it was gonna be before I threw down the money, because I already knew I was backing this. This is when I was wanting to back. Oh, it went up by 150. I'm sorry, Gelth. How dare I? It went up by 150.
Yes, Gelth is a key player. Gelth is a key player.
I love Gelth.
Yes, absolutely.
He's one of my favorites that comes. I want my shirt to be a double XL. That's what he's saying.
we can go there. We can meet you there.
Absolutely.
Gelth, that's awesome.
And as he says, Shae brings up backers and how much he's made for reasons. I like seeing people obviously I like seeing people who get backed while they're on our show. If they don't, then it's fine and I understand. But I absolutely I love when I get to see this kind of happen live. And we've got Unhinged who wants to back it next Friday. And so one of the questions we had earlier was, this is going to be in demand for at least a while. And so you guys can still get it. And if you're getting a digital copy and you have a friend who might be interested, maybe you let them have a little tiny sneak peek of the digital copy and then be like, you can't have any more. If you want any more, you have to go and get your own, and give them the link. Yeah. Or if you can only afford, maybe you can only afford to back digital right now, and you start getting it, you start reading it, and you're like, well, this, is something that I want to own, and I want to feel hardcover, and I want to put on my coffee table, and then you can go back and you get yourself the hardcover. Or, hey, I missed out on the t-shirt and now I'm really sad.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep it open, and Gail, and thank you very much. And I know for everybody, especially in these times when money is really just a difficult time, right? But that I'm so appreciative of everyone who chooses to do this with your free time and with your extra money, because that's something truly meaningful. Like I can't say that enough. Awards are whatever.
Yeah.
Praise of critics, who cares? But individuals who take it at their own free time, their own hard-earned money, and believe in something that's special. That's kind of sacred, if you will.
It is. You guys are awesome. So I'm going to open it up to the chat. If you guys have any other questions, please get them out there. I appreciate all of you guys breaking your likes because you're smashing too much. That's awesome. Smashing the like button, all of you dirty minded people.
Whoa.
Look, we're a shit show for a reason. We go there. We don't care. It's fine.
Please do not hold back.
Absolutely. So this just really seems like a really interesting, really well done story. And the fact that you're doing it so it's kind of self-contained. So if, as you put it, if we don't end up being able to do this again, which is a complete fallacy, and there's absolutely, if you don't do more to the 8th, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna make you. I'll misery you. I'll just tie you to a bed, and only break your ankles, and then just put you in front of something to make the next story, and do the same to your artist. I don't know. Make it work.
Noted. I will get a house alarm and a gun, so I'm be ready.
He's like, I'm suddenly getting the Ring doorbell because that just sounds like something I need.
The Ring doorbell, yes.
Absolutely. So do you have other questions?
Thank you, Past Master Dan.
Unhinged wanted to know, do you have any other projects in the pipeline?
I do. We have a project that will be coming out after people start to get digital issues, and not to overwhelm them. I already have another one underway, and there's some art done on it, and it's called Kill Journal. And I can throw you some images. I don't know if you're in a place where how I would toss them to you, Shae.
Sure.
I can show you a couple images. Is it best to share screen, or should I send them to you on Twitter? Is that
go ahead and share screen. Let's do that. Okay. That'll be smoother.
All right, here we go. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share a screen. Okay. Share screen is easy as too much. Okay. Firefox can allow permanent access. StreamYard. No, entire screen. Okay, just StreamYard. Firefox cannot allow.
Oh.
There. Okay, so there we go. Let's just allow. Your browser can't access screen. Try capturing a different screen. Ah, perfect. Exactly what I needed. Try one more time here. Our screen. Okay. And
We're working on it.
Let me send you an image here on Twitter that
fine.
you can maybe throw out.
Oh, Gelf is about to be working like a madman. Apologies to you, sir. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Ugh, I'm gonna have to share carefully because that needs to happen.
Okay.
That is so freaking metal. Oh my goodness. That is insanity.
So, here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna let you tell me about this, and then I am going to dip out and back in for all of the other ones that you're sending me to make sure that I'm not showing anything else. But yeah, that what is going on?
Okay, here we go. Let me throw this last one in, and then we'll rock and roll. Okay. Hopefully those are working. So this story is called The Kill Journal, and this is a tale about revenants. And revenants are evil spirits back from the dead, built on revenge and bloodlust. And some of them wield chainsaws, some of them crawl through your nightmares, and some of them pop out of mirrors. And St. George is a priest whose congregation was butchered by one of these revenants. And he feels called upon, or at least he claims, by God to gather the survivors of these attacks and go and hunt them down. So there is an evil in the soil of America that goes deep, long before Columbus, long before the natives. It's buried deeper. And these revenants are a manifestation of it. And so this is a tale about, this is St. George, our preacher, this misfit and certainly fringe group that is hunting down these revenants and that are being covered up by some mysterious group. And they are in the sense that these are people who have lives have been torn apart by the savagery of these revenants, and their only way that they can fight back is to pick up baseball bats and shotguns and go after the people who wrecked them. So so this is character here. This is Marty, and her dad was a chemist, and he also sold drugs, and so she is great at chemicals and all the things that explode. My father was also a chemist, so I know about making bombs in the basement.
Oh my gosh!
And so this is Marty.
Wow.
And so these are some of the key characters and some of the revenants. This is another one of the revenants.
Holy shit!
It's super cool. It's an amazing artist. He goes by Tauntaun Revolver. He's a French artist who is now living in Montreal, but he's a amazing guy. He does something pretty special.
Oh shit! There's my cosplay right there.
Dawn. Right? This is Sydney, and she's kind of the lieutenant under St. George, and her daughter was killed by a revenant, and she went to go end her own life in despair. And in the middle of that, she realized she didn't want to end her life. And at that moment, St. George showed up and said, "I think you're meant for something else." And so here it is. This is the Kill Journal. And so that's the next thing that will be coming out. And I guess you guys are kind of some of the first people to see those images besides myself and the artist. I haven't shared them on any other.
The Valkyrie exclusive for it. Oh, it wasn't exclusive. Yes, I mean, everybody.
I've never shared them on any other stream but this. So
that is epic.
Can verify that.
Hell yeah, dude, that is insane. Okay. Oh my gosh, that was super cool. Super cool. I think Lug would love that. I mean, look, Lug likes a lot of super creepy stuff that you would not expect, but like
funny. Yeah, go that's spelled Tonton revolver.
Ton.
Yeah, it actually has nothing to do with Star Wars. He's a French guy, and it started out as like a screen name when he was a teenager, and became that. Though certainly for this discussion, it's Star Wars based.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for being like the first crowd in on it. So that's what will be coming out next, but I don't want to overwhelm people with too much thrown at you. So we'll get the 8th out, and then in a few months you'll start to see some things bubbling about Kill Journal, and then maybe you'll be excited and want to do some Kill Journal as well.
So, oh yeah, no, we're gonna bring you back on for that for sure, because that looks amazing. Gils wants to know, can you outdraw Michael Bancroft?
I cannot outdraw Michael Bancroft. I cannot. I certainly do some sketch work, but to get to this level of work, it's somebody who's a little bit past me. My background is I write for write for television, and I often do sketches to help the artists work. But what Tauntaun does, I can't do, or even Michael. So, not saying that Michael's bad. Michael's a great artist, but
yeah. And then we have Pedro, who says, "Can you elaborate on the math aspect of the armor control?"
Yeah. So, from a science standpoint, I think in its simplest form, when you think about the equation E equals mc squared, right? It's an expression of a numerical expression that results in a real world thing, right? And math is actually, I kind of consider the language of the universe. And so these math equations that he's doing are essentially becoming then manifest in these nanoparticles, right, that form different shapes. So what I did actually, when he's thinking a thought, when he's commanding the armor, the thought box is a thermodynamic equation, right? Because that's what he's actually thinking to command the armor. And so those are thermodynamic equations that I've done some research on. My artists maybe modify them a little bit sometimes to fit them to things.
Right.
But yeah, that's what you're seeing is, that's like maybe the elaborates if that answers your question on what that math is about. And I just think math is a cool thing. And I think sometimes growing up and in things, we kind of feel like, oh, that's hard or different, but really it's we do it all the time, all day long, and it's kind of a magical way to communicate. I'll leave it with that.
It's really interesting. I have a love-hate with math. I'm good at it, and I don't know why, and I don't like it, but I'm good at it, so whatever. But I do think it's really interesting, because I know a lot of people that are like, they're very like, he kind of looks like a guy who is kind of like your everyman teen, like good at math, but maybe kind of doesn't really care that much up until something like this happens, and it's like, oh, this is actually insanely relevant. Maybe I should pay attention and make sure that I'm actually focusing on it.
It's kind of my nephew is a math head, and I remember having conversations with him when he was 14, and he was reading books on math theory. He was the best math student in North Carolina and kind of the region, and it was fun to hear like this kid's head of like what was tinkering around in there. So so I went to geometry.
Yeah, exactly. We also had a question from Timothy. There it is. How long will it take for crowdfunding ideas like this? How many of them do you think it's going to take, and how long do you think it's going to take before it renders the corporate comic industry obsolete?
Now, I guess what I kind of personally feel about that is that maybe that the objective and the hope is not necessarily that they go obsolete. I don't know that they will, just because they're owned by such big AT&T and Disney, such big empires that have so many revenue streams. But what I think is truly going to happen is that this new sort of revolution in comics will become the new generations that people think of. So in the future, we think of Spider-Man because we grew up on it, but that we could change that narrative. So in 20 years from now, it won't actually be Spider-Man that we think of. We think of the Ape, or we think of Lucent, or we think of other characters, or Cyber Frog is a character in the universe. So I think what's really exciting about that, and also too, from a film standpoint, Netflix got kicked out of the Disney World, and they've been buying up Image Comics now, and Mark Millar and things. And so I feel like there's that there will be some also key films that will come along that will hopefully help broaden it out to a wider audience. And so, and I don't know, so I like if they become obsolete, whatever, but it's so much that this will become the new destination for what's cool.
Right.
Because there's this trend between geek to mainstream, and and I mean geek in the best way. Whereas like DC and Marvel, that's not geek anymore. That's just totally not. It's not punk rock. It's not like Rebels. It's not right. They've been bought by big, massive corporations. And so I think that's what's cool is that this will become the new force, and so that way in time, this is what becomes the conversation, and they never obsolete, but they just fade. They become no longer the only players, and they kind of fade in their influence. But that's maybe not too much predicting.
Right. Well, and if I'm going to be honest, I think that what's probably going to end up happening is you're going to start seeing, kind of like how Image and Dark Horse kind of branched off and didn't do the DC Marvel shtick, and kind of we're going to do our own thing, and that's what we're doing. And now we've got Incredible Comics, which is Dan Frega's. You've got Frog King Comics, which has Joe Ball and Indie Dave and Sweens and some of my favorite people. They're all starting their own thing. You've got a lot of these indie creators who are taking the leap and saying, we're gonna make ourselves a publishing company. We're gonna make ourselves able to produce our own stuff, and eventually, hopefully, we're gonna be big enough that we can actually kind of rival some of these others. I think that that's probably going to happen, and I think that you're going to see the money and the interest get a lot more spread out, and it's probably going to start backing a lot more unique and kind of like niche markets, because there's going to be more out there that you could get, and I think that that's what people are going to get excited for.
Absolutely. And what's cool is this is the era. Hey, Paddington. This is the era of influencers, right? I've worked with a lot of YouTube influencers, and hate them or love them. What's cool about them is they're rebels. They're disruptive. They don't actually work they work all on their own. They're doing it from their basement. They're doing it from their weird bedroom. What's cool is people are now reacting to that. So now you don't necessarily need that big corporation. It's exciting, right? Because you can connect directly like we are right now. And anyways, thank you all for believing in somebody who, like me, who's just an indie guy trying to share a story. So thank you.
Absolutely. Gelf wants me to highlight the challenge. He's throwing down the gauntlet. You get the same challenge as Michael to do the drop bear.
The drop bear challenge accepted.
Done.
The drop bear challenge has been accepted. In fact, I'm writing it down right now. Challenge accepted, so it does not get forgotten. I always make a list of these kind of promises so that people don't go like, "Hey, bro, you snubbed me." Drop bear challenge accepted. Gelf Walker done.
There you go.
So
look at that.
Get
Gelf.
ready. If you're following me on Insta or Twitter, there just may be a drop bear that comes. It just might be a drop bear that gets released to the world.
I Borrow Ideas wants to know if there's a hand turkey stretch goal. We could talk about one. Okay, so if you don't know, let me just fill you in here.
Please.
Yeah, I'm terrible. So I made the joke because everybody seems to think that I am potentially some kind of an artist, right? So I'm a writer at best. And anytime somebody asked if I was an artist, I'd always say I make a mean hand turkey. And that became a thing. So now I make hand turkeys of people, and literal hand turkeys, yes. I make hand turkeys of people and of their characters. I actually owe Dan Frega I've already done Geisha. I owe him Sniper, and then I'm sending them to him. He's going to put them up on his wall.
Wow,
So,
the hand turkey stretch goal. Wow.
yes.
I mean, I
we
guess
can talk.
we should talk about this hand turkey stretch goal. I think if
Okay.
that would make a difference for anyone out here tonight on the chat, please shout out. And there's gonna be there might be a hand turkey. There might be a hand turkey.
Well, Adam and I will talk, and we'll see if you guys can get him. If you guys can get him up, let's see here. 30,000 is when you're doing the 12-page mini story. Somewhere around there, or maybe slightly over. Adam and I will talk about a hand turkey stretch goal. So either get him to 30,000, and I might just be so happy that I throw something in for him, or if we do it up to we might do it up to 35, because I might challenge y'all, because I honestly think that this is going to be a good book, and I think a lot of you guys are going to really enjoy this. I think that a lot of people are going to back it after. Unhinged says make it a 6-figure hand turkey stretch goal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the second one will probably hit that, but
yeah, we'll talk offline. Shae and I'll come up with a plan, and we'll come back at you.
Absolutely. And this isn't the last time that I'm gonna have Adam on. I want to have you on before you bring down your in-demand store, as kind of a final push, and to make sure and to see if we maybe hit that 30,000. If we end up hitting the hand turkey stretch goal, whatever we end up setting that at, I'll obviously have you on, because we're gonna have to discuss that. But yeah, we'll talk. It'll be interesting. So stay tuned. Make sure that you hit that bell on Red Valkyrie and subscribe if you want to make sure that you're not going to miss whenever that awesome announcement is going to be. Look at me twist it to make sure. Just make sure that I get it in there for both of us. Well, if there are any last minute questions, this is the time for you guys to put it in. But I really wanted to say thank you so much, Adam, for coming on. This has been super fun. Like I said, I love this project. I think it's going to be a really entertaining project. And I like that you're doing these kind of digital monthly releases, and then everything's kind of compiled together in a really nice kind of coffee table beefy book that you can, leave out and all that kind of stuff. That's a really interesting way to do it. It makes me really happy to see.
Nice.
Not just because I don't have to wait for the story.
Yeah, well, thanks. I think everybody's backed it, and thank you, Shae, for letting me come on and invading your world on a Sunday. So it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gelth, did you just challenge me to make a hand turkey drop bear? Did that just happen? All right, done. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna have to figure out what a drop bear is, but I'll figure it out.
That's great.
It's ridiculous. Unhinged had one more question for you. He said,
please.
If you were a tree, what tree would you be?
A weeping willow.
A weeping willow? That's so sad.
Because they're dramatic in the wind. You know what I mean? It's like a drama. No, I'm actually not a very flighty sort of a guy. Maybe more like an oak. What you see now is kind of how I am 99% of my life. So I'm not very much of a weeping willow. But,
nice. Okay. I'm accepting the drop bear challenge of whatever. This is the drop bear hand turkey challenge. It's going to be an interesting one.
Drop bear hand turkey challenge.
Look, I wish I could say it was the weirdest one I've done. I don't think it will be. To be honest, I don't think it's going to be. Tim says be an oak. Just be an oak.
I'm taking the oak.
I like it. Well, thank you guys so much in the chat for coming out. You guys are always amazing. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Adam, for coming out. This has been so much fun talking to you. And do not forget to go and back the 8th. If you haven't already, I just dropped the link back in there. It is also in the description of the video. So make sure that you go and back that. You can follow Adam at his Twitter, also linked in the description, as well as myself and Cyborg Valkyrie. We also have some cool merch. You can check that out, or you can check out the merch store I'm probably going to put up in another week when I move us over to Redbubble, which I think is going to be a little bit better quality for y'all. But thank you guys so much for coming out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie, and we will catch you all next time. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.